Hi, and welcome to Debt Tale. This is Rebecca Bautista, and we're going to be talking about considerations for when you are a renter. Also, I am super sorry. My cat is over there in the corner. It's Fluff, and he's pretty distracting. So, just a heads up, he's probably going to be cleaning himself this entire video. So, let's get started. So, when you're a renter, the biggest obvious expense is, of course, your rent. And so, I want to just very quickly state that you should also have a buffer just in case, so that way you can cover a couple of things. One, with every renewal, there's a possibility that your rent might increase. So if you already start saving from the get-go for this potential increase, you may be able to afford staying in that house, apartment, etc. for the following term. Two, in case that there is a loss in job or that you get paid less than what you normally make, then you have a cushion to help keep paying your payment, because if you start missing rent payments, you can potentially end up losing your housing. Another consideration if you have a roommate situation is if your roommate is unreliable and decides that they're not going to be able to pay for that month. Well, then what do? By having a cushion, you can then help float that friend or roommate to an extent, and if not, ensure that you draw up some type of contract to have them pay you back. All right, utilities. Well, this is kind of dependent on the way that your lease is written. Some leases include all utilities, including sometimes even Wi-Fi. In most cases, this is for homes that are split by room, but sometimes there are places that will include basic utilities. Now, if you don't have a lease like that, then you have to consider the utilities for your usage, which could be depending on what type of stuff you have going on in your house: gas, water, electric. Sometimes you have to pay for trash service, sometimes you don't. It should all be stipulated within your contract. Another really quick thing here to note in utilities is that you also want to pay attention to your lease if you're responsible for lawn care, because unless you have the time and the equipment to do your lawn, sometimes you may just have to pay for lawn care. Renter's insurance. So even if your lease doesn't require you to have it, I generally recommend that you look into it at least, because should something happen to the house, apartment, etc. that causes damage and loss of your property, the homeowner's insurance is not going to cover it. That's what renter's insurance is for. So when you think about renter's insurance, you want to pay attention to two different types of renter's insurance. One is actual cash value, which means that they're going to pay you for whatever was damaged or lost, what that was worth at the time of loss. Or you can play for replacement value, which means that they will pay to replace whatever you lost. Now, actual cash value tends to be cheaper because in general your stuff will depreciate over time, and replacement cost value is a little bit more expensive because placing it with a new object, in general things that you purchased before may not have the same, but the similar one is like a newer upgraded model, and every year in general products and services do tend to go up and rise with inflation. So you will get enough money to actually replace it. Another thing to note is that renter's insurance will also cover temporary housing should your accident, etc. in the home require you to temporarily move out because the place you were at was uninhabitable. If you don't have renter's insurance and then your place is deemed where you can no longer live there due to damage, then you are unfortunately most of the time out of luck and you have to pay for rehousing yourself. Cleaning and basic maintenance. So in general, if you want to keep your security deposit, which is what you can get back at the end of your lease agreement, then you want to make sure that the place that you rented is left back in the condition that it was in, or even slightly better. So with that in mind, you want to consider making sure that your place is clean, and in some cases it does require, in most leases, that you have it at least broom swept, but just in case, you want to make sure it's better. There's also the concern for small minor maintenance repairs. So think like you hung up something in the wall, now that you're leaving, you're taking it out, but there's a hole in the wall, so you want to think about quick little spackling job, maybe some touch paint, etc. Another thing you want to consider is whether or not in your lease there's a stipulation, or talk to your landlord to see whether or not you can even do some of these repairs yourself and save them and yourself a little bit of money. Now, generally cleaning and maintenance is not an ongoing cost unless you have kids or pets, and Well, speaking of pets, I want to talk really quickly about your renter's insurance and pets. If you have a renter's insurance policy, you want to make sure that you look into the stipulations in regards to pet liability. So this is what happens in case your pet harms someone, and it could be your dog biting somebody, it could be your cat scratching somebody, etc. And so if you have a pet that could potentially harm another person, you want to make sure that you have that mentioned if you already carry a renter's insurance policy. Another thing is that there's a lot of landlords who are hesitant to rent out their home, etc., to somebody that has a pet. So by getting a pet liability insurance or having it included in the renter's insurance also generally tends to help ease landlords' fears and obligations in regards to renting to somebody with a pet. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you have a dog, some insurance companies will offer you a discount if you get your dog certified through AKC's Good Canine Citizens test. If your pet qualifies and goes and earns a certificate, you can then often send a picture of the certificate to your insurance company and they will offer a discount because your dog has been certified to be a good boy or girl, and therefore you lower the liability that your animal will potentially hurt somebody. So yeah, those are just some quick considerations to take into your mind when you are considering renting or if you are already a current renter. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. As always, I am more than happy to answer your questions. Please give this video a like, and if you can, share it with another renter. So until the next video, bye!